Hello there folks, back again for another video. In this one, going back to a preview that popped up during the middle of June for the Middle-earth strategy battle game that was pretty fun and showed things from the other side of stuff. So previously to this, we had seen videos covering the new good heroes and the good miniatures for the forces of Arnor, as that's going to be the focus of the new supplement that's coming out in the near future from the folks at Games Workshop for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Well, the preview from June, and there's going to be obviously another one this coming month as well, so in July, was for one of the orcs serving under the powers of Angmar. So this was the kind of preview that we'd seen previously, which was a tattered Arnorian banner that had clearly been ransacked by the forces of evil, and this was the character that was revealed, which looks like it's going to be another one of the big resin miniatures from the folks at Games Workshop that you will have seen in the past, as they've been doing for the last while, actually, when it comes to hobbits and elves and everything else in between. But this is Nazthak, who is one of the servants of the Witch King in Angmar. And as you can see, he has already won some plaudits by killing some Arnorians and taking their banners. He is an orc that, as they have said here, an orc captain that is has a habit of scrounging what he can from the bodies of the fallen on the battlefield and taking them for his own. So one of the things they talked about in terms of his stat line is that he's very similar to an Angmar Orc Captain. So you already have those obviously in the book, in the main book, then you can go and check those out and see what you think of that. But he also comes with a mighty 3 might points, which allow him to get stuck in and change dice results in his favour more often than not. He will start the game with just a dagger, as you can see by the miniature here, but one of the things he does have is this new scavenge rule, which you see here. So I'm going to read this out. So a scavenger by nature, Nazthak will often pick up the war gear of those he slays to use in the fight. Whenever Nazthak kills an enemy model in combat, with the exception of monster models, he may choose to scavenge a single piece of war gear carried by that model, with the exception of a mount, you can't steal their horse or whatever, another type of armour, so you can't get heavier armour, etc., living creatures, the One Ring, or items of war gear that are integral to the model, so you can't rip out claws and teeth. This will happen before any effects that allow the slain model to pass on that piece of war gear, so you nick their horns and their banners before it gets passed on to somebody else, potentially. Add the scavenged item to Nazthak's list of war gear. Nazthak will benefit from the scavenged war gear as if he was the original miniature. Nazthak may choose to discard any piece of scavenged war gear at any time, though if he does so, then he cannot reclaim it and it is lost, which is very, very cool indeed. So, a really interesting one that allows Nazthak to sort of dive in and sort of slowly upgrade himself throughout the course of a battle. It's a pretty fun and interesting new mechanic that we've not really seen in the game before, and it certainly lies more on the narrative side of things, which I really, really enjoy. Although, of course, he has some serious potential there when it comes to diving into games and potentially changing things in his favour. He does obviously have to kill whoever he's robbing things from, but if you can get him into a position where he's either backstabbing an opponent alongside some of his colleagues, I was going to say, some of the rest of his orc companions, or maybe if you could group up and trap an individual, then that obviously means that Nazthak's going to be able to get stuck in with his knife, do the bloody business, and steal away with some of the war gear that might potentially be on those characters. So as you can see here, as they say, he can use a shield, a bow, an elven weapon, a banner, a war horn. He could also pick up things like Andoril, the Oaken Shield, Herogrim, or maybe even the Arkenstone. As they say there as well, obviously he has to kill whoever he's taking it from, so you have to bear that in mind when it comes to diving in and using him in your games. But hopefully this is one of those things where you can use him in the right circumstances, trap miniatures, as I was saying, get some backstabs in, and away you go. He does also come with heroic defense, which means that he's going to be a little bit easier to escape the claws of his enemies before they drag him down, be it the forces of good or other competing forces of evil. I actually really like the miniature as well. I think it's a really nice one. I like the tattered banner. I like that he's got all the different sort of accessories and things already on him. So he's got like a stolen helmet. He's got the sword or dagger sort of stuck into his belt there. Obviously got his own dagger in his hands. And then that sort of really is a really nice contrast to his kind of like tattered and worn leathers and the armor underneath it as well. I also think the expression's really awesome, and hopefully that's something that will come out in the finished model as well, and you'll be able to pick that out really nicely with a little bit of good highlighting and stuff. It's also nice to see that they've continued to play around with different orc skin tones as well, so it's not just that kind of classic green or sort of dark green or brown that a lot of people see on orcs, and instead they've gone for something a little bit brighter with that kind of yellowish tinge to it, which I think is a very nice addition. So yes, very cool indeed, and an interesting character to add into the mix. Obviously, when it comes to big characters, we've already seen the likes of the Witch King of Angmar. He already has an awesome plastic miniature for you to use for Angmarian forces, and there's loads of Angmar orcs and stuff out there in the world that you can get up and stuff like that. I wonder if they're potentially going to do something more with those characters, and we're going to see additional selection of special sort of additions to the range, perhaps in the coming months. Obviously, we got cavalry and a sort of captain for the forces of Arnor, and we've now seen a captain level model for use in Angmar forces, so maybe some units would be fun to see thrown into the mix as well. Although it does look that the next piece that they're going to be showing off is another Arnorian, perhaps. Getting that same design in the mix there, potentially, and some nice, interesting work on the shield. Potentially another big character for the forces of Arnor. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that one. It looks like it could be another mounted model. So that sword looks like it's on the on like a saddle, for example, there, which would be quite interesting. It looks like it's in like a running pose as well, so you've got like the flowing cloak and everything as well there too. So an interesting one to watch out for as we move into July. Hopefully it's not too long before we actually get to see a little bit more detail about what's inside the Arnor supplement for Middle-earth strategy battle game, and hopefully it will get people down back to the table painting up forces for both sides, for both Arnor and for the Orcs of Angmar, and we'll see some fun scenarios played out on the tabletop. I'd love to see the new supplement come out and then scenarios played, is what I was trying to say, over on Warhammer Plus, because it was really fun seeing the Osgiliath stuff popping up on there, which was really nice to see, and stuff like that as well. So yes, very cool stuff there from the folks at Games Workshop for the Middle-earth strategy battle game and the Lord of the Rings period. This new Angmarian Orc, Nazthak, is looking pretty awesome. Hopefully we get to see more stuff in the near future, as I say. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff down in the comments below. Make sure to check out my previous video from last week where I was looking at the latest SBG magazine. If you've not watched that yet, go and check it out. It is going to be a very inspirational magazine for those people who've always wanted to bring Ents to the table. Go and have a read. You'll see what I mean. And yeah, I'll be back with you guys in the future for another video. Bye for now.